In this lesson, I'm just going to go and talk about one of the properties that control the space that surrounds the HTML element or our HTML elements. You would have noticed that most HTML elements are essentially little rectangles. So if I go to our project here and give all of this properties here, let's say, let's go and put some style here, background color, let's say rosy brown, just to test out and see. So you would see that we have here certain rectangles that surrounds each of our elements here. So let's have royal blue here, and most of them are composed of rectangles. And the idea here, guys, is that we can apply certain controls using these properties: the padding, the margin, and the border. If we go and open our developer tools here, you would see that it's actually part of the box model here. So we can see that we have the padding, the border, and the margin. So the element's padding is the space between its content. We have here the content and its border. This is the main element content. So in this case, we have here, let's say, for example, we have here in the div element, the nav. We have here the content. Or let's go to the div nav here. So we have the content, which is the text for the navigation here. We have the homepage, about, contact, and the zero padding. So far, we don't have any padding yet in our project here, as you can see. So you would see that there's no padding being shown here. If I go and look for padding, you'll see there's no padding in our project yet. So let's try to go and apply some padding here. So there are a number of ways on how we can apply the property padding. We can use the CSS declaration here for applying the padding, or we can also use the inline style here. So let's try to go and use the inline style in this example. So I would want to go and apply some padding on the top, right, bottom, and left. So I will just be using here the padding property of, let's say, at least 2 pixels for the navigation. So if I'm going to go and save this, and let's see what happened. So you would see now that if we open our developer tools here and go to the div element here, under the nav here, and we can now see that we have a padding computed value of 2 pixels for the top, bottom, right, and we have the top, right, left, and bottom here. So if we go to the layout, we can now see that there's a description here, that there's a padding 2 to the left, padding top, we have padding right, and padding bottom, which is an equivalent of 2 pixels as based from our declaration here. In this example, we use a single value, but we can also apply a property value of 2, 3, and up to 4 property value. And let's go and try to apply the two values. So we used a single value here, a one value of property padding here with a value of 2 pixels, and it's just a single value here. So what I would want to do here inside of the header container is to apply a property value for the padding with 2 declarations. So let's say 20 pixels from the top and bottom, or let's say 30 pixels from the top and bottom, and 20 pixels from the left and right. So if we go and try to refresh this, you would see that we have a bigger padding from the top and the bottom because that's taking in 20 pixels. So if I go here in the div element here and computed values here, you would see that the header container has 30 pixels from the bottom and 30 pixels from the top. So we have the top and bottom. and the left and right bottom right paddings will be only 20 pixels and 20 pixels. So that's how you declare two values in our property values for the padding element or padding property. Another way of declaring a padding property will be to give at least three values here. So if I go and give this 10 pixels for the first declaration here, that will be giving the top padding here. It will be giving instructions to give at least 10 pixels from the top or on the top here. 30 pixels will be given to the right and left padding, and then 20 pixels will be given to the bottom part of the page here. So if I go and refresh this, you would see we only have 10 pixels from the top, 30 pixels from the left and right, and we have 20 pixels at the bottom. So if I go look at the div element that we have here inside of the header element, the header container, and we go to the computed values here, we can see that the padding bottom is 20 pixels, padding left is 30 pixels, padding right is 30 pixels, and padding top or top is 10 pixels. If we try to look up the layout tab here, you would see the same values here will be 10 from the top, 30 on the right and the left, and then 20 at the bottom. Now, if we would want to use another value, another way for declaring a property value for the padding will be to give it at least 4 values. So, let's say I would want to have 10 pixels from the top, and then I would want to have 20 pixels on the right, then 30 pixels on the bottom, and then 40 pixels on the left side here. So let's see what will happen if I go and save this and then refresh this. So you would see we have 10, 20, 30, 40 pixels. If we go look at the developer tools that we have here, we can see that inside of our header, the header container, the layout here shows us that we have 10, 20, 30, and 40. So computed values will be from the top 10 pixels, padding right on this side will be 20 pixels, padding left will be 40 pixels, and padding bottom will be 30 pixels. I hope that it's clear that we can maximize the use of one value, two values, three values, up to 4 values. So one value will be declared. If we declare one value, it will be affecting all 4 sides of the element. If we declare 2 values, we have the first declaration here for the value of padding will be for the top and the bottom, and the second one will be for the left and right. If we declare 3 properties, we have the top, the left and right, and the bottom. And if we try to declare 4 properties, we have the clockwise order of being implemented here and rendered by the browser. We have the top, the right, the bottom, and the left side of the element. And one key thing to remember, guys, you can actually be specific with regards to declaring some of the properties here. So let me just go and delete this and go to our header container here. Another way of declaring will be, instead of using a single padding word here or a padding declaration for the property, you can specify on whether it's top, let's say 10 pixels, or 40 pixels from the top. Padding from the right will be 30 pixels. Then padding to the left will be 20 pixels, and padding bottom will be 10 pixels. So if we try to go and refresh this, you would see now that we have here the values that we have assigned here specifically for each of the sides of the box of the element. So if I go look at the F12 here, Again, we go to the header section here, and then the div element container, you will see that the computed value is based from the declarations that we've made in our code. So we have the padding top 40 pixels, padding right 30 pixels, padding left will be 20 pixels, and padding bottom 10 pixels. Key notes to remember will be that each value can either be a length or a percentage, and that negative values cannot be applied or cannot be given. They are considered to be as invalid. So when we say length values, the size of the padding will be a fixed value. And when we say percentage, the size of the padding as a percentage relative to the width of the containing block. So we have here the width of the containing block. So technically this is the container, and if we use percentage here, it will be the relative to the width of the containing block. So let me go and show you what will happen if we use percentage here. So 10%, 10%, 10%, and 10%. So let's save this and then refresh. And let's check what will be happening to our project here. So let me just... So you would see that it applied 10% inside of the containing block, which is the header container here. Now what I just want to do here will be to go to our code here and try to go and remove this, and I just want to use this inline styling here, and I will be sticking with 20 pixels for now. So at least we'll have padding here, which will be 20 pixels and 20 pixels. So let's save that. So that will be the padding that I would want to apply in our project here.